this is Bailey's class. It's Mrs. Springer. I wanted to do something with you today called a book talk. And a book talk is when I tell you about some specific books that other kids in the past have liked and that you might like to read. And when I do the book talks in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I organize them around a theme. So today's theme is going to be adventure books. So before I tell you about the books, I want you to think for a second about an adventure book or an adventure movie you've seen. What kind of things would you expect to happen in an action or adventure book? Kids have told me they might expect explosions or people to risk their lives doing things. They might expect people to look for treasure or go to all different types of places. So adventure books are books where people have adventures. So let's look at some adventure books that other 3rd graders have liked. Action and adventure books. So in action and adventure books, people are fighting the bad guys. There are evil plans to be discovered. The characters take a lot of risks, and a lot of times you're wondering, oh my goodness, what will happen next? This picture is from the book, The Last Kids on Earth and the Zombie Parade. It is an exciting series about monsters that can turn people into zombies, and these kids are fighting the monsters. It's also a show now on Netflix. Max and the Midnights. So this is written by the same person who writes the Big Nate series, Lincoln Pierce. Max and new friends go on a quest to free the kingdom from King Ghastly. It is a really funny book that takes place in medieval times. It's about half words and half cartoon drawings. It is tons of fun and tons of laughs. Give it a try. Bug Boys is a friendship adventure. It's a graphic novel, and these two friends dig for buried treasure. They face these nasty termites, and they explore caves and take other friendship adventures. It's brand new in our library this year in 2020. Jack Stalwart. So Jack Stalwart is a secret agent who lives in London, and he has this globe in his room that can take him anywhere in the world to do his secret agent duties. And in this first book, he goes to New York City, kind of gets teleported there through this globe because he gets an assignment to find a genetically mutated flesh-eating dinosaur that is ravaging New York City. Very exciting, Jack Stalwart. Beltura Quest. So these are fantasy books. The evil Shadow Lord has enslaved the people, and Leaf and Barda are on a quest to find 7 hidden stones so they can get rid of the Shadow Lord. There are lots of thin books, and there's lots of them in the series, but it's a really fantasy adventure. Treasure Hunters. So this is a fat book, but it's got a lot of cartoons inside. So it's about 2 kids whose parents go missing, and they now are using the parents' notes that they left to find this treasure and hopefully to find their parents, because they don't know if their parents are missing or have died. And they're following all these clues, and every time they kind of meet up with an adult, they have to pretend like their parents are with them because other people are hunting for the treasure, and they don't want anyone to kind of steal all their clues and get to the places before they do. Dragon Masters. I bet a lot of you have read this. So Dragon Masters is a series about kids that are picked by the king and the kingdom. These kids have special abilities to pair with a dragon. And in this one, Drake gets taken from his home to the castle, and he's paired with this dragon Worm, who at the beginning of the story has no special powers. So it's up to Drake to befriend the dragon, learn about the dragon, and find out if his dragon has special powers like the other dragons do. Ricky Ricotta's Mighty Robot. So this is written by the same person who writes Dogman. There are 2 different sets of Ricky Ricotta books. All the words are the same in both, but they have 2 different illustrators. So in one set, Dave Pilkey illustrates it, so it'll look a lot like Dogman. And in the picture that we see right here, it's illustrated by Dan Santat, and it looks more like cartoon comic book style. So in this little mouse, he gets picked on by all these people, and then this robot is kind of been controlled by this man called Dr. Stinky. And so, as you can see in here, the mouse and the robot team up together to save the town from Dr. Stinky. Lots of fun and lots of adventure and lots of those little where you go back and forth, and flip-a-ramas in it too, just like in Dogman and Captain Underpants. Tuesdays at the Castle. This is kind of a longer fiction chapter book. So these 3 kids, they live in this castle, and every Tuesday the castle creates something for itself, a new room or a secret passageway, but it does what it wants. It doesn't necessarily do what the people want it to do. So the king and the queen, which are these kids' parents, they disappear. They don't know what happens to them, so now these kids are at the castle by themselves. And these adults happen to be at the castle because they were there before, are kind of trying to slowly make their way to take over at the castle. And the kids are trying to stop them, and they need the castle to help them. But the castle doesn't always do what you want, so they want the castle to help them to foil the plans of these adults that are trying to take over. The Dragon of Lonely Island. So these 3 kids go on vacation. I believe they're all brothers and sisters. And they find this dragon on this island while they're on vacation. And this dragon has been asleep for a long time. And when they wake it up, each head of the dragon tells one of the kids a different story from the dragon's past. So then this dragon has been alive for 20,000 years. So the stories go way back. So they're all different stories of how the dragon has done different things in the past, interacted with different people. So 3 stories, 3 dragon stories. It's real fun. The BFG. I bet a lot of you know this one because it's a movie too. So the BFG stands for Big Friendly Giant. And one day Sophie is in her bed, and the Big Friendly Giant reaches his hand in her window and takes her out of her bed and takes her to the land where the giants are. And the one thing that makes the BFG different from the other giants is that the BFG doesn't eat children, and all the other giants do. So Sophie and the BFG make a plan to save the world from the other people-eating giants. And it's a lot of fun. There's funny stuff in it, and there's also some crazy stuff that happens in Roald Dahl books as well. That's the name of the author. Pippi Longstocking. So Pippi Longstocking is a girl who doesn't have any parents, so she does whatever she wants. She has a monkey for a pet, and she has a horse that lives on her porch. And she is crazy and nutty. So if you want to hear a crazy, funny, nutty story about a girl who's living by herself in a house, that's Pippi Longstocking. And it's not that long. It's a shorter book. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Some of you know this as the Narnia books because they're also movies. They're also really good to listen to as an audiobook. So it starts out when the 4 children, their brothers and sisters, have to go stay with this professor in his house. And he's a really big house. And while they're playing hide and seek one day, the youngest one, Lucy, goes into this big closet. And this closet has lots of fur coats in it. And so Lucy is trying to get a really good hiding spot, and she keeps trying to find the back of the closet. So she keeps kind of walking through the fur coats, and then she starts to realize, oh my gosh, this closet is really big. She keeps walking back, and the next thing she knows, there's like snow on the ground instead of being like closet floor. And she keeps walking, and then she comes out into this world, and it's snowing, and there's a lamppost, and she has entered the world of Narnia. When she goes back, she finds her way back to the regular world and tells her 2 brothers and her sister that she went to this other place. They all think she's crazy, and they don't believe her. So she goes back to Narnia on her own. And then eventually all the kids come, and there is an evil witch there that makes it always snow, and it never turns to spring in Narnia. It's always winter, but never Christmas. And they have to help the animals fight this evil witch who is now after them because she knows they're there. Ranger in Time. So Ranger in Time, or Ranger, is a I can't think of the name of the dog. It's a golden retriever, and he is trained to be a search and rescue dog, but he never gets to be a search and rescue dog because he always ends up chasing squirrels. So instead, one day he finds this first aid kit, and it's kind of like Magic Treehouse because the first aid kit can take him back in time. But when Ranger goes in time, he's always responsible to help someone to safety. So there's all different time periods. So this one is, at the top it says Oregon Trail, but the picture, it is the Titanic. So there's the Titanic, there's some World War II ones, there's the Revolutionary War, there's the Twin Towers, and of course the Oregon Trail, which is mentioned. So those are very exciting adventure books about saving people from dying. Captain Awesome. So this is kind of a silly one. Eugene and Charlie are best friends, and they're secretly superheroes. For instance, and Eugene calls his sister Queen Stinky Pants. So in this book, Captain Awesome versus Nacho Cheese Man, Charlie starts to wonder if his friend Charlie is not really a superhero, but a super villain. And here are some more adventure books you might want to try that are in our library. Some of them are graphic novels. Some of them are short chapter books. There's a whole bunch of different ones, and they are all lots of fun. You can also go to collections in the library catalog, and there is a whole collection of longer chapter books that are adventure books. Have fun trying out some adventure books.